let's talk about stuff, getting everything ready. We are getting everything ready. What's up, friends? Hey, Sanal. Hey, everybody. Okay, ready to go? Ready to go? I'm ready to go. It's been an awesome day so far. Just did a Figma collab, and video is pumping. Video's pumping. Honestly, like the best part about my job is how much I get to work with Figma. Yeah, I just feel so lucky to be able to be doing collabs with them. And yeah, when one goes well as it does, as this one's going, it makes me feel like I'm doing my part. You know what I mean? So it's been a good day. Hope you're having an awesome day too. And yeah, gonna have a great show today. We're gonna be talking about. There's not really any design news, unless I missed it. But I've got some process now around finding news, and yeah, don't see much design news today. So we are going to, instead of talking about news, we're going to rank design trends. So I'm going to need some help from you all to tell me what design trends I should rank. So we'll be getting into that in just a sec. But also going to do a components variants focused tutorial today live, and then we're going to do Rito's portfolio. Haven't checked it out. I just did like a quick little like, is this like open and stuff, and looks like it's good. So. Michaelis, thanks so much for the review yesterday. I've sent a thank you email. Oh, sick! Hell yeah! Yo, sorry I didn't check my email much today, but glad you got something out of yesterday's portfolio review. By the way, if you want your portfolio reviewed, go ahead and check my bio link. I've got a few links in there to go fill out a form to get on the list. So yeah, right now we got about 15 so far, still in the queue right now. But yeah. How are we doing over on TikTok land? I haven't been, yeah, getting everything set up today. I'm actually gonna be traveling tomorrow, so I'll be out of town the rest of the week. Otherwise, I'd be going live this rest of the week. But I'm heading up to New York for an event by DocuSign, so that's pretty exciting. I'm like really stoked for that, and yeah, should be pretty fun. I got invited out to it by DocuSign, and so yeah, it's gonna be fun. A fun little trip for me and my family. I'm bringing up my wife and kids too. So two of my kids. My third kid is too young. She's just a little baby. So yeah. Team Gradient, love it, Chris. Yes. The gradients are pumping on this title card, by the way. Yeah. Which one was somebody just said over on Instagram, UI design is dead. Everything is templatized now. It kind of is, I suppose. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that you need to understand. And whoa, shit, really quick, somebody sent me some hearts over on TikTok. Heart back to you. If you want to send me some gifts, would love it. That anything to let me know I'm doing my part to be able to offer some awesome content for you guys to enjoy. But basically, yeah, here's the thing about templatizing content or layouts, right? And this is a great transition into our design trend ranking, is every design needs to have some form of symbolism for you to feel at home, right? Like the best design is design that feels familiar, right? When you listen to a song for the first time and it's like becomes your favorite song, it's one of those things where you've kind of like felt like this was what I've always felt there should be a song about, right? That like it kind of just clicks into place. And a lot of that is basically paying homage to everything that's come before it to be able to like bring to life this song or this UI, right? And so honestly, as far as like templatizing our UI, it's pretty tough to like avoid that because it's a good thing when you use those trends and those properties that we're all used to, and then use them in a new way. So that's all I'll say on templates. But yeah, I hope you all are doing great today. Pumping over on YouTube too. What's up, Rupesh? What's the least portfolio medium that's acceptable, and is it okay to link medium case studies to the portfolio? I think that's okay. Here's my opinion on the lowest amount of handcraftedness that your portfolio should have. I think you need at least a homepage, right? If you make at least a homepage and then you send me out to a bunch of Behance docs or send me out to a Figma prototype, whatever, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, right? But if you just send me a Figma link, I'm going into it knowing that it's a Figma link, and I'm going into it saying I don't know if this person is far enough in their career to be ready for me, right? And it's one of those things like hate it as much as you want if you're just like trying to get into product design and not in web design. It's one of those things where you've got to just like everybody's doing it, and so the fact that you're not doing it is a problem, right? Unless you find a way to make some kind of new form of portfolio that's better than any of the other portfolio format that's come before it, kind of thing. So, yeah. What's up? Is it necessary to know Photoshop and Illustrator if you want to use Figma? Definitely not. Definitely not. Web design, it does help a little bit to know Photoshop, but you can also get away with not knowing Photoshop and being a good web designer. Because really, like Photoshop is all about assets, and the imagery, and you can get away with a lot of that inside of Figma using like masks and stuff like that. So. What's up, Anastasia? How you doing? Been wondering, is it good to have text always on auto layout? Not necessarily. You don't have to have an auto layout that is based on text. And in fact, if you do have text in an auto layout, try to make it where the auto layout's hug does not expand on that, unless it lives inside of another container. I should do an auto layout tutorial soon, shouldn't I? Yeah. I haven't done one in a while. I've been used to post about auto layout a bunch because it's probably one of my favorite features. Actually, you know what we should do? Instead of ranking design trends, what if we rank Figma features, right? Let's just rank Figma features. We're changing it up. Let's go into it. We're gonna hop into our ranking system today, and I've got the title card as trend ranking because I came in thinking that it was gonna be a trend rank, but that's okay. That's okay. Hold on, flipping the title cards. Where is it? Damn it, there it is. Okay. Okay, we've officially got all of our ducks in a row. All right. Purchased my course, learned a lot. Hell yeah, Laura. Appreciate you saying that. Oh, that's perfect. I should have already mentioned it. I've got a course, two courses, a UI course and a Figma course. Both of them are 25% off only for the next few days. So go get it. Go get it. The sale's almost wrapping up. All right. Okay. Let's get into this. So right now, Auto Forensics, I'm using a webcam, a Logitech webcam, but usually for all of my content, I just film on my iPhone. So yeah. All right. Let's do it. We're ranking Figma features. So let's go ahead and just get a list going, right? So clearly, auto layout is one. Gotta size these bad boys down a lot. Okay. Auto layout. Name some other Figma features that you are really love. Should we put the pencil or the custom cursors? Yeah. I feel like it has to be in there because it's relevant right now, right? It's relevant. So let's dig into it. Okay. Custom cursors is another one. We've got components, right? Gotta have components. Damn. Whoo. It's a little tight. Maybe we bold these bad boys. Yeah. Cool. All right. Components. What other Figma features should we be talking about, everybody? April Fool's Curse. Smart Animate. Awesome point, Samuel. We can talk about tokens and variables for sure. Variables is an awesome one. Calling inside of Figma. Okay, that's cool. Like voice chat. Do any of you guys actually use voice chat? And have you ever used it? Every time I use it, I'm like, wait, why are we doing this? We should just be in Slack right now. Slack chat, right? So, I don't know. But, it'll be good to do that. Prototyping in general. Okay, well, question. Should we mix prototyping and Smart Animate? That's a question that we need to figure out, everybody. Yeah. And then I'm also going to blend tokens and variables together, by the way. So tokens, variables. Should we blend prototyping and smart animation? Because those are two very different things, even though they're used in the same way. Let's blend them together. Let's blend them together. I'll just call it prototyping slash smart or animate. Let's call it animating. Yeah. I need to get used to my PC keyboard, by the way. I need to come and use this this rig more often. Okay, we got voice chat, we got components, we got custom cursors, we got auto layout. Let's start looking around. Oh, I saw multi-edit in there. Definitely a hot topic. Dev mode. Okay, cool. Very cool. Dev mode. You did not miss anything, Yuta. So today, so I usually start this live show off with a design news. Well, today's April 9th, and there is 0 design news that is actually interesting. So, for at least from what I found. So today, instead of doing design news, we're doing a trend ranking. So right now, I'm going to be ranking Figma features together with all of you guys. So in here, I'm basically just writing out 10 Figma features, top 10 features. We got to figure those out right now, and then we can get into it. Should we talk about masking or shapes or pen tool or anything like that? We can get into frames. I'm going frames. I'm overriding all of you. Frames are up here, and that is definitely B tier at minimum. Maybe it's an A tier. Okay. Frames. It really changed my entire process. Plugins, come on, Nicole, love it, duh. I've got a video right now over on Instagram that is pumping that I collab with Figma on, and yeah, it's about plugins, so obviously we're going to talk about plugins. Okay, cool, so we've got our features. So essentially what we are going to do up here, the limitation is, or at least I'm going to try to limit it to this, where it's 1A tier, 2B, 3C, and 4D, okay? So that's what we got. Gradients is good. It's, and they did recently update gradients. So, I'll also say that it's almost a winner. It's almost worth putting in, but I would say that gradients isn't like a super unique feature to Figma specifically. So we've got to cut that, I think. Okay. Last thing really quick that I'll say, should we bring up like multiplayer? Let's just add some more. Let's add some fucking more. Whatever. I'm in charge of this. I can break the rules if we want. So multiplayer is a huge one. And then we've got gradients. I'll throw you a bone, Rupesh. Gradients. All right. By the way, if you miss any of this stream and you want to check it out, you can always go to my YouTube channel. I'm streaming over there, and there's replays over there. So let's go. Okay. So we're gonna go with these 1, 2, 3, 4 times 3, 12. So we're gonna go with these 12 options for Figma features. I'm gonna start it off right off. I'm gonna say frames going at least up here in the B tier. Okay. I think that if we're talking about Figma features, like why do I love frames so much? It's because it changed my entire workflow. Right. When I went from working inside of groups over on Sketch to being able to have frames within frames and mask things out perfectly, make those frames into actual objects, so you don't need to use rectangles anymore, and all of that can future-proof your work, so that later on, if you want to change that rectangle into a circle or whatever, all that stuff is makes your workflow go so smoothly, and all that stuff was not possible before frames existed. So I think that we got to go with frames on at least a B tier, and then we go. I'd say let's throw gradients up. I'm just gonna say it. Gradients are not that cool inside of Figma. Now they did do some updates, right? Let's talk about those updates really quick. I haven't played with them too much, but one thing is that this was already here, but this box right here did not used to exist. So it makes it so you can twirl it around much easier. There was also, what was it? Oh yeah, you can get a percentage here. This percentage didn't used to show. So that's another big one that they've improved a lot on. But yeah, again, it's not really one of those things that are like a game changing feature. It's a game change. It's not a game change, So I'd say gradients are a D tier for a Figma feature. Barely. Don't worry, Samuel. So here we go. I usually do a design news when we walk in on my live stream here. I usually talk about design news as the first segment. Yesterday we talked about Johnny Ive and Sam Altman teaming up about AI wearable, but today there's no design news. So today we're doing a ranking of the best Figma features, and yeah, so we wrote out all of the Figma features. And yo, Blinko from Figma, send me a heart. Yo, hey, you're probably a plugin if it's Blinko for Figma. So let's talk about plugins for a second. I'd say that plugins are at least a C tier in terms of value in the Figma like system. But as far as like the ecosystem of Figma, I think that there's so much community that comes from plugins. In fact, I was on an insider call on Figma like just like a month or so ago when they were talking about some of the last minute dev mode changes. And somebody on the call actually built a plugin that did some of those features, and they were like, "Hey, you missed this one bit. Would love it if you could add that like a la carte, like already in there." Even though they were the one who built the plugin, they were like, "Yo, Figma, like you got to do it for the community." And I think that's like so fucking cool, and that just shows how awesome plugins are and the plugin community inside of Figma. You can also take in the idea that you've got dev mode. And dev mode plugins as well. There's like a whole suite of plugins that I didn't even talk about in my video that I made today over on Instagram. And so it's kind of like plugins are a huge part of Figma. And also too, it's one of those things that like when I was using Sketch before I started working with Figma or using Figma, the Sketch didn't really have plugins, and they started to, and then I switched over to Figma, and then like the plugins were just so much better over on there over Sketch. So we might need to put plugins up in a B tier. Let's just throw it up in a B tier, see how it feels as we go. I think we got to also start throwing up auto layout as one. Auto layout is a major. I'd say A tier. Gotta be A tier because it's another one of those workflow changes, but it also is, the other day I was getting asked, how can I fight perfectionism in design as I'm designing? And the trick is to not be a perfectionist on the work you're doing, but rather be a perfectionist on the way you're working, right? And so the way you're working, like I tell you, the best OCD itches that I've ever scratched or when I made like the perfect auto layout that could just scale constantly, like both ways, and so yeah, auto layout is a game changing feature that I think it's got to be up in the A tier land. Components, they're big. They're big and they've got a lot. But I will say from when I started or when I was using Sketch, Figma's components are definitely like better, but they're not like revolutionary. Now, when you drop in variants and all of the variant systems inside of components, building out design systems around that's a huge one that might bring it to where it's potentially an A tier. But let's leave it on B for now. See how it feels. Now, I think we can get voice chat out of the way. I don't know about you guys, but I've used voice chat a few times in Figma, but it's been very rare. And it's more, hey, let's jump on Slack really quick and talk through this. And so maybe it just was never in my workflow. But I'm gonna put it at a D tier because it's never made it to my workflow, the voice chat feature inside of Figma. So right now, if you're just joining, we are ranking Figma features because there's no design news that's interesting today. So let's go into the rest of it. Multiplayer. Oh man, I'm just gonna drop all these really quick up here and where I see them really quick. Multi-edit. Oh, that's a big one. Dev mode is good. When I was using it on my team, it was like really big. Prototyping is so big though. Okay, we cleaned this up. All right. So as much as I love frames, you can't really put frames over prototyping, right? Like prototyping's got to be better than frames, right? Because yeah, why are gradients so low? Yeah, good question. Hey, here we go. Tell me why they should not be low, right? Tell me why it should be better than the D tier. Because I went through and I basically explained, even though they just dropped some new features around gradients, made them a little bit easier to work with and scale, I still don't think that the gradient feature inside of Figma is like a revolutionary feature compared to everything else, right? When you're talking auto layout, multiplayer, by multiplayer, I mean two people working on the same file at the same time. Like literally every business, every new startup is doing that now, right? And you could argue that technically, Google Docs, Google Sheets, and all that was doing it already. But they took it to a new level where you can actually see the fucking cursor. Like that is so different. And now every startup is doing that. That's like has these kind of need for the collaboration. But I think that Figma was the first one that really did it and really did it right. And they've continued to build on it with that in terms of like if you press the slash key, you can go type and you can be talking to somebody in the file without actually talking to them. Be like, hey, follow me, hey, come follow me. By the way, if you want to come follow me, you can go to this link right here and you'll be able to join the live hangs. This is like the file that I'm working in, so you can come hang out with me. However, my Figma is saying that it's down right now, so I do not know what. I don't know if it's not syncing or what, but you might not even be able to come into the file right now. So, all right, let's continue on. All right, multi-edit really isn't C, right? So when I came into this, I said that we were going to have 1 on A, 2 on B, 3 on C, and 4 on D. And right now it's kind of tilted the other way, as you can see. So let's. I got to move plugins down to C. I hate it, but we got to start really prioritizing stuff. I think dev mode moves to a B. Auto layout and multiplayer is Figma. Auto layout and multiplayer is Figma. Let me repeat that a third time. Auto layout and multiplayer is Figma. I'm going to leave it there. Nothing can beat those two in terms of value to the Figma ecosystem on that A tier. Now the B tier, we're getting into components, prototyping, variables, dev mode. These are the version control shit, Blinko. Yeah, but that's like a okay. Here's my thing about version control is that's like a pro level feature. What's the hotkey? Command K, Control K. There's a hotkey for version control. I still haven't even gotten used to it too much because I built I used my versions in a different way before version control really came out, and then I've kind of just stuck with that workflow. So that's also too why that's not even made the list for me at this point. However, I'll also say too that there's enough plugins where you can get away with version control, and it really is team by team basis. And so although the feature itself is cool and good and valuable, not even okay. I guess the version history, that is a good one. Oh man, I've used that so many times. I've saved so many projects with that so many times. So fuck. Yeah. Version history is a big one. Yeah. I don't know. I'd say let's swap gradients out with version history at least. It's got to make the list. What's going on? I can't type. Okay, there we go. Version history. All right. Version history made the list, and gradients are cut out. But, yeah. Cool. I think that's good. Now the question is, we've got to move some of these down to D tier, right? Because we're sitting here. We've got custom cursors. As much as I love custom cursors and I never want them to go away, you can't say that custom cursors is better than frames. You can't say that custom cursors is better than version history, right? Like, I love the ability to change my cursor, but man, I can't do it. Oh my gosh, you guys can hear my Slack notifications? Let me go close Slack here. There you go. That's so funny. Am I triggering you, Unique? That's so funny. Okay. So we're cleaning this list up. We got 2 more. We got to move 1 more down at least. One more from this list. So, is it going to be prototyping, components, tokens, or dev mode? I feel like dev mode, it's pretty a new feature. What's up, Sleepy? How you doing? How you doing? Um, Dev mode is a relatively new feature, and so maybe not every team has adopted it. But when I was using it in my team, now I've since not like worked in a product team environment for about 5 months now. But we were pretty hardcore on dev mode, and there's also a whole new set of features that's happened since then that I haven't really used. Now you can definitely argue that dev mode divided the Figma community in a big way, and maybe damage some goodwill that Figma has gotten because they tried to like get developers as a paid plan. So it comes with some baggage, and so that might be enough of a reason to put it at a C tier. However, it's just so valuable that you can't do it. You can't do it. You can't remove it. I'm speaking Chinese. Sorry, I'm just I talk fast too, so that's probably part of it. Variables is very important, but it's not important to every single workflow, right? It's really important in advanced prototyping. It's really important in what do you call it, high level like design systems and stuff. But I think, like you said over there on YouTube, Rupesh, tokens it's C tier because of the learning curve. I think I'm with you right there. Boom, we're cleaning this up. We're cleaning this up. Can we move one more down? Can we move one more down, guys? Are we feeling pretty good about this ranking? Uh, I'm gonna go send this to the Figma team after this call, so it's on you to put your stamp on it, and we can decide. Uh, you almost paid 1K when $1,000 when they monetized demo. Damn, that's pretty gnarly. That is really really gnarly, and I think that's the thing is like they warned people about it, but I think that they didn't give enough like off ramps when the warning stopped, and like it was like, hey, you have to pay for this now. And I think that was a real problem that happened. But I feel pretty good about this layout. You cannot tell me that components is not B tier. Maybe prototyping is B tier because you don't always have to prototype everything, right? Like you can make new features, whole new user flows, all of that without doing any prototyping. Now it is part of my process. Hey, what's up, Leon? How you doing? How you doing? Annie's in the house too. How you guys doing? Where's your custom cursors, y'all? Maybe I just can't see it, but so what I was getting at is maybe we move prototyping down to B tier, or C tier, and then with that, I think we've got to move multi-edit to D tier, and we move voice chat down to the last on the list. I think I can feel pretty confident about this. Prototyping should be at the top. Frames, plugins, variables. Yes, I feel really good. This is our ranking once and for all. Cool. We spent 28 minutes on that. Sorry y'all for chatting so much about that. I hope you had some fun along the way. That was fun for me. So what's next? Okay, I'm gonna do a live Figma tutorial. Can you all give me some likes if you like component variants as the focus of the tutorial, or I can get into just plugins. I could talk about plugins some more. I did a little bit of plugins chat yesterday as well, but yeah. How much multi-edit have I used in my project since it's launched? I use it probably every day. I use multi-edit. So that's why it's hard for me to have it at D tier. But the reason for it being at D is I didn't used to use it and I still got by. So that's the only reason why it's down there. It has made me completely better as a designer and faster as a designer with multi-edit. So there you go. Okay. All right, cool. So we're getting some love around components. Let's do it. Let's do components. All right. So again, if you want to come by, if you happen to be on a computer, come by over here on the bit.ly/radlivehangs. I'm gonna get started on a tutorial around components. So let's go make it happen. Now the question is, what components are we going to do? I probably should have thought about that a little bit. Yeah. Fuck. What's up, Alvaro? Yeah, man. Appreciate you saying I'm the best. You're the best for saying I'm the best. I'm doing really good. How about you, Sticky? Stick fi. Sorry, I'm doing awesome. Actually, today is a great day. I did a collab with Figma today over on Instagram, and so far it is pumping pretty solidly. So I'm really proud of that. Every time that I do a brand deal, I want the brand deal to go really well, and especially when it's Figma, because you know I want to post about Figma every day. Yeah, I would if I could, or yeah, I would if I had the time. But getting paid for content also makes the time a lot easier to make the time for it. So, all right, come over here, hang on the live tutorial. We're gonna be talking about components. So let's do a mini auto layout tutorial because we're gonna make button components because that's super exciting and really just a really fun thing to do. So this is a button label. I think Enter being our font is a great choice. I'm gonna drag the side panel over so y'all can see it to make sure that you guys get the juice there. All right, sweet. Okay, so we got button label. I'm gonna wrap that in an auto layout by pressing Shift A, and now we've got some spacing automatically. I'm gonna put a fill on that bad boy. I'm gonna put one of my brand colors on here. Do a nice little purple vibe. Actually, no, that's not color accessible for the peanut gallery. So the peanut gallery gets orange now. So we got this nice little guy. I'm gonna add about 16. Probably do. You know what's another underrated feature that maybe should have made the list is type settings. This is such an important one. But also, if you don't know about this yet, if you're trying to do an auto layout with text involved, there's oftentimes the fonts will be wonky with a vertical trim. They'll add like extra spacing, and it's something that is really annoying when you're doing auto layout, especially on one line buttons. And so yeah, right here you can just switch it over to cap height to baseline, and that's going to automatically make it to set where it's like just the box, like just the fill of the text gets shown. So there we go. So we're at 16. I might bump that to 24. Then we'll put that the vertical to 16. Now, why did I just put 16 and 24 on the sides? Well, I've already talked about this a bunch, but we want our boxes to feel wide on mobile devices specifically. Now, if you're doing web design, you should be designing mobile first. If you're doing app design, you're probably doing mobile apps. And if you're building stuff for an admin panel or more like SaaS that's needed on a computer, there still is a lot of panels that are tight. And so on those tight panels, on those tight spacings, for those buttons that we have, we want those to fill the wide space, but not the vertical space, because the vertical space means you got to scroll more, right? So to give this button some emphasis, we are giving it more horizontal spacing. There we go. Good little mini UI tutorial in the mix of an auto layout tutorial that's wrapped in a component tutorial. So let's actually make this a fucking component. So I'm going to go ahead and press Command Alt K, or you could have I'll undo that. You can right click and do what do we have? Fucking there it is. Create component. But also just press Control or Command Alt K. And now we got a button for our guy. Button. Yo, Karma. Awesome. Glad the quality's better today. Okay. So we've got button label. Let's make this into. Let me show you really quick why components are so important, right? So I'm going to duplicate this down by holding Alt. Now this is an instance of the component. Vocabulary for you. This is an instance. This is the original component or the master component. Now, if I were to change up here, change this from the salmon to say white, well, it's going to automatically update the instance. You get it. I don't need to beat a dead horse around components and why components are useful in that way. But where components get even better is around variants, and that's really the thing that I want to talk about today, which is properties right here, right? So you're selecting the variable, the original master component, master component, not variable. So right here we got properties. You're gonna press this plus button. Now you've got variant, you got Boolean, you got instant swap, you got text. All of those are okay, but you can do pretty much the functions of all three of those other ones can be done using variants. So I typically just start with a variant right off the bat, and it's gonna automatically add this spacing. So it's going to also create property 1, and it's going to set that one to default. So let's just call this a type, right? So this is a filled button, so we'll call this filled. Now I want to make a ghost button. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Command or Control D, and that's duplicated, and it's created a new variant inside of that property. One nice thing too is now it's sitting right here and it's kind of awkward. You can just grab this whole box, press Shift A, and now you've auto layouted your components sheet. It's essentially what you've just done there. So now we've got two things, and on the instance, I can always switch from filled to type 2. Nothing's changed because I haven't made any changes over here. So I'm going to press Shift X, and now I've just given this a border. I've swapped the border fill and the border, and so now we've got a ghost button. So I'm going to rename type 2 to ghost, and now look at that. We've got ghost, we've got filled. Boom. Well, this is kind of annoying, right? It takes 2 clicks. Now, this is one of those OCD things that I just do every time as much as I can. But essentially, we've got filled and we've got ghost, and it lives inside of type. That's okay. That's okay. But, you know, we're trying to make this really fun for ourselves when we're going and designing. And so what I like to do is instead of making this a type filled or ghost, I do ghost, and then I do false, and then I do true. And look at this. When you do an instance or a variant, like actual name of true and false, as long as you do both of, well, like have both sides, there's one that's true and there's one that's false, it automatically switches it into a Boolean switch, which is just one of those like, it's just magic. Like those are the things inside of Figma that are like, they thought about my needs, you know what I mean? And I didn't even know that I wanted that, but now that they have that, my sheets are usually made up of like 20 Booleans in a component. In fact, yeah, let me show you what one of my components on one of my things I've done recently is. Look at this. It's just made up of Booleans. Like, this is stupid. I probably should have done a drop down, but like the fact that I can just look for, you know, I don't have to think about what drop down it lives inside of, and instead I'm just like looking for important, boom, and it automatically is going to switch between task and important, right? Like it's just it's such a nice, like one of those solid things that it's just so cool about Figma. So all right, that's there you go. So we've got a ghost button Boolean. Now, what's another thing that I could teach you all or show you all? So maybe we do two properties. So maybe this is our primary button, and then there's also a secondary button, which gets like a different color or something like that, right? Or we can do size, and then we can link that up to a variable. Yes, let's do it. Okay, so we've got a property. I'm going to make a new property. I'm going to call it scale. We're going to start with a scale of 1. All right. And then now I'm going to press enter and duplicate both of these because we need to do that for both the true and the false, right? So now we're going to do a scale of 2. I'm going to bump this up to 32, bump that up to 24. So this is basically like a big ass button is the name. Maybe this one becomes not bolded anymore. Maybe it's also a little bit smaller on the font size. Cool. Maybe it stays semi-bold, and maybe this becomes black. There we go. Cool. Okay. These are two very distinct buttons. Now, all I need to do right here is I can go from scale 1 to scale 2. Look at that. That's pretty nice, right? The ghost buttons also still work simply because I duplicated both, right? So now I've got 2 properties. I've got both of them have a false and a true, and then there's also a scale of 1 and 2. Let's for just added effect make this a scale of 3 as well, like make a third scale as well. Here we go. All right, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and beef this up even more. All right, I'm going to move that plus 8 again, plus 8 again. I'm going to make these, so let's move it a bit more. Okay, cool. All right, sick. Now, we can go to 3, and we've got a 3 scale. Perfect, okay. All right, Ronnie over on TikTok just asked if, should you go through another boot camp program if I'm trying to get back into designing? I would say no. I would say go do a lot more work. The reason for boot camps, you could probably get a job. You can definitely get a job without going to a boot camp. But what the value of boot camps is knowing what you need to know. and not having to think about the stuff that you need to go learn. That's where the value of boot camps are, and you've already gotten that if you've done a boot camp already. You don't need to do another boot camp. Just do a lot of work. Just do a shit ton of work, and then that'll be it. So, okay, cool. So we've got 1, we've got 2, and we've got 3. Now, how do we rig this up to a variable? And why do we want to rig this up to a variable? Well, specifically around design systems is the reason you want to do this. Sometimes you can do spacing, or you can do, like I've got 1, 2, or 3 of increment sizing. But there's also ways to like rig up or like give the auto layout spacing set to a variable number, and maybe we can do that tutorial on my next live. But for now, we're just going to do scale. We're going to call this 1. I'm going to do shoot. Yeah, yes, value of 1. Now, if we had like modes of variables, we maybe it would be like mobile. Maybe this one's desktop, and maybe this is like tablet. Yeah, maybe there's mobile, desktop, tablet. There we go. Okay, so mobile scale is 1, desktop scale is 3, and tablet scale is 2. So here we go. I'm going to, when you hover on here, instead of changing the 1 right here, you can rig it up to this variable with this guy right here. And then we've got, let's find collection scale. Perfect. Okay. So now, how does this translate into something that's actually usable? Well, let me go grab this guy. And let's say that this design is in, sheesh. Okay, that got really big. Wait, oh no, yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's say that this button lives inside of this app, right? Oh gosh, here we go. Okay, let's say that this button lives inside of this app. Well, maybe there's a tablet version that then is like really scaled out, right? Bear with me. We're just like making a fake tutorial here, okay, guys? Don't judge me on like but okay, I can't. The perfectionist in me cannot let this slide. I've got to actually make like a semi-useful tablet layout. Okay, this is kind of a tablet layout. Nice, yeah. Okay, so this is the tablet layout version. All right, and then now we'll make a desktop version. Please, Nolan, try to hold it together, bud. Try to hold it together and don't go off on a tangent making oh, I gotta do it though. I gotta do it. I can't do it. I've got to fucking do it, guys. At least like, somewhat. Yeah. Alright, cool. Don't try this at home. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we got a desktop, we got a tablet, and we've got a phone. Now, all we've got to do is, since there is instances of components that lives inside of this frame, it's going to automatically know that we could potentially assign each frame a specific variable. What does that mean? Well, if this button was not living in here, then this button would not show, this little icon right here. But because it lives inside, the icon is showing. And what we're also going to do is we're going to set collection 3. We're going to set this to desktop. We're going to set this one of collection to tablet. And we're going to set this one to mobile. Can I get a little applause, guys? Let's get some likes in there. That was pretty beautiful. It all came together in one fell swoop. Now I'll show you that it even continues to go together in one fell swoop by dragging this button over here. Watch it. Boom. Automatically changed into the smaller button, right? And to give it even more added effect, we're going to take that big button. We're going to move it over to the small button. Boom. Look at that. That's the power of variables. And that's why variables should actually go from a C tier to a damn B tier. It's got to get on that B tier. Come on. Come on, variables. It's got to get on that B tier. Sorry, I really got going there, everybody. Hope you all had some fun there on that tutorial around variants and components. That was some really dope stuff right there. If you want to learn more about this stuff, I've got a Figma course. I don't actually have a component section yet, but I do have a very detailed advanced prototyping tutorial that goes into how do you use variables in prototypes to make some really killer stuff. And yeah, anyways, that Figma course 25% off. Go check it out now. Now we're gonna be getting back into some chill stuff again. We got a portfolio review coming up, but anybody got any questions that you'd like for me to answer? Because we can jump into that really quick. We got something from TikTok. As a beginner in Coursera, UX design course, is that a good course to learn from? I think that's a really good beginner course. It's essentially when you're jumping into the design world, you're going to realize just how many disciplines and skills you have to build. And when you get those skills building, it's going to take you a while to build those skills, and that's okay, right? You're going to need to get shallow on everything to be able to understand the lay of the land. And then once you start being, hey, I'm really interested in typography, I'm going to go spend a few weeks just getting really good at type, right? I want to spend a few weeks getting really good at color, whatever. All of those stuff, you got to go shallow and then go deep whenever you're feeling it, right? And you want to dive into those. And I think that Coursera course does a pretty good job of giving you the lay of the land. It's not going to get you to the spot where you're ready to get a job. In fact, no course will get you to the spot where you're ready to go to get a job. And that's because you've got to grind for a while. You've got to understand the shallow. You've got to dive deep into each of those disciplines. And the only way to do that is not through theory. It's not through taking more courses or anything like that. It's through understanding the strategy at a deep level. So definitely the theory is worth it, but you can't actually put that theory into practice until you go do a bunch of work. It's kind of like being healthy, right? You understand you've got to eat vegetables. You understand that you got to work out, right? And you can understand that at a theoretical level. You can understand that running's pretty good for your heart. You can understand that if you want muscles, you need to lift weights, right? However, until you go spend the time to say, how do I get banging abs, right? I got that's diving deep into something, right? Same deal with design, right? There's so many disciplines and so many exercises that you have to do for a while. And it's just going to take you a while to do those. And so give yourself grace. Understand that going from zero to a job is probably going to take a year at least. And that year is going to be a hustling year, right? And so anyways, all that to say, the best way to start that year off is my free 70 Rad Design Challenge. Basically, you get an email newsletter every morning, and you'll just be doing 2 design things every day. And you do that for 70 days. You come out of it with 10 or 7 projects. And then, I would recommend at the end of that, you make 2 of those into banging case studies. You put that on your portfolio, and then you start applying for jobs. But understand that 70 days, and plus probably 20 to make that portfolio, is only going to get you to 3 months in, right? 3 months of 12 months, right? Understand that even that is probably a short timetable, 12 month to go from 0 to 1. But I think from there, you start grinding and hustling on client work. And don't go to Fiverr. Maybe if you want to get your feet wet doing that, but it's going to be tough. Because you're going up against a bunch of entrenched players over on the Fiverr and Upwork side, right? A bunch of people have been doing that as their full-time job for years now. And so how do you stand out? You don't go zigging. You go zag, and you go on Google Maps and you find local businesses. And you go redesign their website, and you hit them and say, hey, if you want me to go build this out for you, pay me, right? I think that's that's what you got to start doing. You got to get the foundational skills. You got to put together enough work to be able to get some client work. You use that client work to go build out some real stuff around. Sorry, a pop-up just happened and it tweaked me out. I thought, dang, that really cut me out. That really cut me off. But you saw where I was going. You all saw where I was going there. Anyways, use client work to go to start building your skills around cross-functional collaboration, right? Stakeholder management, all of that stuff. Working with other developers, seeing your projects come to life, using that to refine your user experience design process, and that is where you're ready to start applying for product design jobs. And that's why it takes more than a year to get to the spot where you're ready to apply for product design jobs. And that's okay. It's not a bad thing, right? let me put it to you this way. Finally, before we move on, is that if I told you that you could be making more money than you could ever imagine, using your creativity and your brain to solve problems, but that's exciting, right? But hey, it's going to take you 5 years to get there. That's okay. That's okay if it takes you 5 years to get there, and understand that it'll probably take you 5 years to get there. And so use that as like, not to say I gotta make this money and like be validated in this ways. I gotta like start making a living off of this to know that I'm going in the right direction. No, it's not a linear path, right? You're gonna get one huge client project. You're gonna think that it's gonna lead to something else, and then you're gonna be down in the dumps because it's feast and famine for a while, and it's just up and down for a while, right? But eventually you'll find some balance. You'll find some exciting stuff around like getting into like real work that you actually enjoyed doing, because the early clients suck. The early clients suck, and it's because you suck, right? It's because you don't have a process for managing clients, but you can't get that process until you work with clients and understand the guardrails you need to run on them with, So, anyways, yeah, that was a good rant. How would you guys rank that rant compared to my other rants that you've seen me do? Yeah, okay. Over on YouTube, would you use mode to define the sizes? Oh yeah, sorry, I missed that comment when I was doing the component variables tutorial. Probably not. I would probably not define those sizes based on variables unless I need to design tablet, desktop, and mobile all at once. That would probably be a good way. But even then, you would probably want to get into auto layout and rigging the padding variable or the padding numbers to variables. That's probably the best way. That way, you can be even more granular from the variable level, and it's not just set at a global like you said it where it's like 1, 2, or 3, and then 1, 2, or 3 equals 12 pixels of vertical and 15 pixels of horizontal. Like that's not the best way to do it. The way that I showed you is more of like hey, here's demoing how variables work. But maybe next time I'll do an auto layout variables tutorial, because I think that's definitely the best way to do it. When variables first came out, they didn't let you rig those up. Or no, they did. Yeah, they did. Never mind. Yeah, okay. Sweet. How we all doing? We feeling pretty good? I'm pretty pumped today. So tomorrow, I would be doing live right around this time again, but I'm going to New York City, so I'm traveling up there. I got invited out to DocuSign's conference, so yeah, it'll be my first time in New York City. I've never been there before, so it'll be really fun to go out there, and I'm heading up there with my family, so we're gonna make a little weekend out of it. So yeah, basically I'll be out Wednesday through Friday. I'll be back doing this again Monday, and we'll be coming at it with a whole new fervor, a whole new set of intensity. But yeah, right now we are going to be doing a portfolio review. So I'm going to open up Rito's portfolio. Let's get it. Let's make sure all this is from frame. Hold on, everybody. Wow, lots of animations. That's pretty exciting. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Whew. All right. Nice. Sorry. I just had to sink it in. Okay, I'm going to switch over the portfolio title card. Here we go. Bear with me. If only I had like a moderator like Karma or my social media manager could do this for me. If only. Maybe one day. All right, let's dig into it. We ready? We ready for a portfolio review? By the way, if you want your portfolio to be reviewed, you can go ahead and head to my bio link. In there, there is a thing. Here we go. Ryan Nolan/links. This button right here, this portfolio review, or this get your portfolio reviewed. Both of those will take you to this Airtable form. I think there's about like 15 in the queue that are left to be reviewed. So yeah. Also too, if you missed your portfolio reviewed, like Rito, if you're not here, are you here, Rito? So far, it's only worked out where one time they were on here with me. So, but yeah, if you're not here, Rito, you will always be able to like rewatch this over on the YouTube side, because I'm streaming from YouTube right now. So let's get into it. We're talking Rito's portfolio. So first off, like I like it. I like this animation. I think that it helps it stand out. I would say for something that is like this much, right? We've got this motion, right? We've got this motion up here, and we've got this hero. Oh, and there's actually a button here too that lets me contact you too. So I would say there's just a little bit too much going on. Like it's interesting, visually appealing, feels pretty cool. But what I would say is how can you make it where this thing, this loop only plays when my mouse is on the square, right? I think that would make it even more of an exciting thing, right? Motion is always the best, not when it's like happening constantly because that's going to be a distraction. Motion is best where you discover it, right? So I think something like this, where it's a subtle enough motion, or even this one too, is probably subtle enough to where it could just be happening on its own. But for something that's this jarring and this big of an animation, I would say let's sit it down right to where I'm only seeing it when I'm hovering, right? Now I'm going to try to read through this. Design dreams into reality. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like that you turn this little into also into a button. So that's pretty fun. Interesting tactic so far. It helps it stand out. And this is also the thing of like what makes it so important on like making a handcrafted portfolio is despite you've got like maybe going a little bit too far with this, it still makes it stand out where again, if I'm reviewing portfolios, I'm probably looking at like 50 portfolios in one sitting, maybe even more, right? And so that's what all hiring managers are doing, unless they're not even reviewing portfolios, which that sucks for them. Like they're missing out on a lot of opportunities. But for people who are looking at them, they're going to be coming in, and there's going to be a lot of the same stuff. And so this helps you stand out. So it's not a bad thing. Like none of this is bad, but I would say maybe tighten it up just a little bit to think about where, okay, I've been sitting here on this hero for enough time. It's getting to be a distraction now. Okay, the power of design to bridge the gap between dreams and real world results, emphasizing the inspirational aspects of design work. I don't know. I don't think I like that line. I don't think I like that line. I like where it's placed. I like the styling that you've done. The treatment of it is pretty good. I just think, Rito, that it's so generic. It's like it almost feels like it's like a bingo card of buzzwords, and I think it's too generic, right? Like what's awesome about a hero that has some paragraph is it gives me a little insight into your life, like what made you become somebody who wants to be emphasizing the inspirational aspects of design work, right? I don't know. I think that you should redo that line and make it way more personable, right? And more like I love design for the way that you can bridge dreams into real world results, right? Like even just that might be enough of a line to be good. So okay, cool. Coming down here. Hello, I'm Rito, an enthusiast digital product designer. I would say anybody who's talking about enthusiast or apprentice or I think just you don't need this line. You don't need this line. Just say I'm a product designer, right, or a digital product designer. I think drop that line. Drop that line. It's not needed. It's not needed. Hey Sam, I can definitely review your portfolio. Just send me your portfolio link through my Airtable link. If you go to my portfolio or my bio link in there, there's portfolio reviews button. You can fill out the form to get on that list. All right, so you've got 3 years of experience in the field, skilled in creating intuitive user interfaces and conducting research to deliver good user experiences. Computer science, strategic leader with startup incubation experience, blending tech. See, you're going buzzword heavy too much. You literally are just buzzwording. Computer science, comma, strategic leader with startup incubation experience, comma, blending technical expertise, comma. Like, nah, that's a run-on sentence, A. And B, it's just not needed, man. It's not needed. What am I doing right, or what am I using right now? I don't know what this person's using, but I'm streaming from Streamlabs right now, and then over on TikTok using TikTok Studio. But like the fact that you were in a startup, or you did a startup that was in an incubator. Why is that not up here, man? Why is that not up here in Rito? It's got to be up there, dude. Like, and here's the thing. Like, the reason that you want to push like all of these words that you're putting on your portfolio, all the projects that you show, and the way that you talk about those projects, what you're doing is threading a story together of Rito, the enthusiast digital product designer, right? You're not an enthusiast digital product designer. You are a designer who you are a startup designer, right? That is a niche, like or niche inside of that world. And what that comes with is it comes with I've done these things. I've lived by my designs. I've used those for my entrepreneurial dreams, and I've lived and died by those designs. I've raised money on those designs or didn't raise money on designs. Like all of those war stories are so important to your story, much more than computer science, comma, strategic leader with incubation experience, comma, blending technical expertise, comma. No, you get all that technical expertise through making that entrepreneurial mindset. And so you need to find a way to create that thesis of I'm a designer who thinks like this because of these things, right? Like I'm a designer who loves to make early stage startups or bring ideas to life or iterate on new MVPs, right? Like all of that stuff, you got to throw all of that in, and then that piles on to your I'm a designer who thinks like this because of war story, war story, war story, right? Like yeah. So like it's not coming through unless you're being as in the weeds as I am with it. Which let me tell you, the design of this site is good enough to make me stop and say, like, let me read a little bit because this person seems like they've got some chops, right? So like, but make it even easier for me to where I don't even need to scroll, and I know that you were a startup founder or in an early stage startup that was in an incubator. Like those are good things. Those are big things. Those are big things. So yeah. Cool. Okay, skills, advanced. I've seen so many things. So many people debate. Should we, like your ranking? Like, should you rank your skills or not? And it's funny because I'm about to talk shit about it, and I've got my own ranking, right? So on my portfolio, I put a ranking together, and this is the ranking. But this is the other thing too, though, is like, and I felt a little like cheap doing it. I almost didn't do this section, but I wanted to I throughout my whole portfolio, I talk about that like I thread this story of Nolan has been assembling all of these skills together to be a really functional and designer around bringing early stage startups and ideas to life. Like that's my whole bit, right? And so how I did my ranking was I put it into milestones of my career and then like did what I was interested in on those times, right? Like I got a job in development and I did that for a year and I grew a lot as a developer, right? I missed design too much after that year though, and I went and did both, and I kind of split both. I went out on my own and did freelance fully at that point. And then during that time, I brought on a junior designer and I started project managing with them. I started learning how to be a better manager back in 2019, right? And so like throughout all that process, they like slowly built up, and you can kind of crescendos into mastery or whatever. And even then, like I almost didn't even put these mastery, intermediate, skilled because there's not an end point, right? And I think that's the problem with these kinds of rankings is there is no like there's no I'm 100% good at UI design. No, like you could always be better at UI design. You could always be better at UX research. But how much skill do you have in that through the experience that you've put on that? Like what were the war stories that made it so that you're good at user research? And all that comes from failing, right? So what failures did you have? And that's really the love or the value that comes from that. And additionally to like the other side with these rankings that's tough is you pretty much ranked all of them as good, right? And so anything under really good, which UX research, you put it at proficient, design thinking, you put it at proficient. Now, like that's tough, right? Because then I'm going to be thinking like it's only a bad thing, right? It's only like, damn, are they actually good at UX research? Are they actually good at design thinking? And so I would say just find a way to put this in a different way. You have this up here, visual thinking, design thinking, all that. I would say with how much motion you got up here, I would cut this whole bar out and just throw it down here because it would actually shore up this whole section pretty solidly right here. You wouldn't have to have that arrow, and you could have that just like kind of like sliding through the whole time. So, okay. All right. Let's continue on. Licenses and certifications. Okay. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I don't really know any of those certs, but it's nice to see. 54 unique projects. That's pretty cool. 100% client satisfaction. I mean, I like it. I like it. I think that bar is pretty solid. Yeah, this whole section is really good. Um, hmm. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to think about this. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like this section. I like this. I don't think it's needed though. I don't think it's needed though. I would say especially if you're bringing this bar down to right around here, you've already got a slider, so you can cut that, yeah, cut that, and that yellow bar is better right here. Yeah, that's perfect. Cool. All right, now we're getting to case studies. Cool, 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 cool. Product case, design space, visual design. Okay, I think this section works as well because he's trying to tell the user what services he gives. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. And so listen, Osama, I'm totally cool with that. All right, I'm cool with listing your skills and listing UI design, UX research. I just think it shouldn't be done in a like a scale of 0 to 100%, right? Because it's only going to be bad because there is no 100%, right? And anytime, and you also can't just put all the bars 100% filled or you look like an asshole. And so you have to do this with this proficient ranking. But then that proficient ranking only brings concerns from my end where I say, well, shit, okay, they're good at UI design, but they must not have much UX research because they're even labeling themselves as only proficient, right? So that's all I was saying is do it, but do it in a different way right here. So yeah. All right, cool. We're getting to case studies. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right. So I'm just going to round this out really quick. Whenever I'm reviewing portfolios, I'm coming in and I'm looking for one portfolio to review. I'm going to do that no matter what. No matter what I've seen up here, I'm going to be looking at a case study just to give you a good shot, right? I want to make sure that I give everybody their due and do some due diligence around them. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to try to find a specific industry that kind of matches my industry, right? I want to make sure that, yes, this person has done some admin panel work, or if I'm really into e-commerce space, that they've got an e-commerce spot, right? And so let's just take that all that context in mind and let's see how that compares, right? They've got ticket.com, prioritizing health and safety travel. That's cool. Education LMS kind of platform. That's cool to see too. There's probably going to be some admin panel stuff, good dashboards inside of there. This one's good for like e-commerce vibes because there's going to be on any travel. There's going to be a PDP, a PLP, so you'll have those like product list pages, product details pages, all that stuff. So the connecting influencers and brands, that's pretty cool to see as well. Okay, nice, 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 nice. You know, I would say that that's a pretty good like broad reaching one, enough to like be interesting. Are you guys hearing all these pop-ups that I'm hearing? I'm gonna mute that. There you go. I just muted it, I think. Hopefully. All right. Last one, monitor control all in your hands. Okay. Yeah, that's a cool one to see. That one really shows me that you've got some that you've had to think about some admin panel and management kind of stuff, which is really all that we do as designers is handle input fields and data entry, right? Making it fun. So okay, cool, cool, cool. So let's go through it. So usually your first one should be your best one. Now I will say though, like it's always good to see admin panel stuff. And this one does actually look like it's got a onboarding experience demoed. So I'd like to see that actually. So I'm going to start with that one. Now, I said earlier that I'm cool with Behance projects as case studies. It would be best if it was lived inside of your website, but I think it's fine, especially with how detailed and handcrafted this homepage feels. That's nice. That's okay for me that it's taking me out to a Behance portfolio or a case study. Okay, let's dig into that case study for Influence ID. All right, cool. All right, product research. Cool. Good to see the role. Good to see the duration. Design thinking. The tools. Okay. I would say method, process, design thinking is probably not needed. I think anytime like design thinking is mentioned, um, I haven't seen it mentioned really much in any kind of product team facet. And also to like the client work that I do has never really had design thinking come up. I could just be a person who's kind of like anti-design thinking now, and because like here's the thing: design thinking is the foundation of strategic design. So you can't really have a method process of design thinking because hopefully you use strategy, hopefully you were creative, hopefully you thought about the user's problems and empathized with them, hopefully you went and tested this out, right? Like, and I'm going to see that you did that through all this stuff, right? And so I don't think design thinking should be mentioned, especially at the top of a portfolio. I don't think it's needed. Or top of a case study. Okay. Project brief. We are in the middle of building a platform that would encourage influencers to explore their creativity by collaborating with brands. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. That's okay. That's okay. I would, here's the thing. Here's the thing. As an influencer myself, um, this project brief feels shallow, right? Feels hollow a little bit. Every influencer wants to explore their creativity by collaborating with brands, right? And therefore, every product that's geared towards influencers, every platform that's geared towards connecting me as an influencer with brands is going to naturally focus on the creative, right? Like that's why brands are coming to me as an influencer because I can make better content than they can, right? And I make content for my community in a different way than they could, right? So this project brief feels pretty shallow, and therefore the design thinking, the empathizing, all that stuff feels like did it actually happen, right? And so now I'm kind of going back to the stuff that you listed out and feeling like, wait, this is hollow, this is shallow. Is there some strategy? Is this even a real project? Did this actually happen? If it is, did they do enough research with real influencers to be able to see what they want? Did they talk with real brands who've actually paid influencers? And did those brands tell you what they want? And were you able to actually put that into the strategy? I don't know. I don't know. So let's see. Let's see. I'm just trying to talk out loud with what I'm feeling and seeing as I go. First, let's understand the project and find the problems. Okay. What challenges do influencers face? Okay. Negotiating fair compensation, managing cloud. Okay. Yeah. All right. Can we ensure the platform provides that? Okay. All right. All right. See, this feels like it's lacking a little bit of market research at this point. I'd love to see, yeah, okay, you kind of jumping right into the design. So I would love to see what are other products in the field doing, right? Because there are a lot. There are a lot of platforms connecting influencers with brands and vice versa, right? There's a lot of platforms that help me as an influencer, negotiate fair compensation and all of that. And so yeah, so I think I would say it would be awesome if you're gonna put something in here like this. You gotta have this is how this platform's doing it, and this is what's wrong with that. Like they need to improve this and this and this, right? Those are things that need to be touched on in this section in order to make sure that I'm feeling confident about that. And this goes for even beyond, like I'm touching on a lot of this because I'm an influencer and I like feel those pains a little bit sometimes. But also too, like this goes for any project, any case study. If you're talking about the ideation phases, you've got to do market research and you've got to present what market research you did, what you found in to be true in the market research. All that stuff has to be done. So yeah, because too, like, yeah, it gives you context as a designer, knowing what's out there and knowing why we are here and why this product exists, right? All that stuff leads to that. So, okay. Second, define the user or the target user based on research data. Okay. That's cool. Tech literacy, high. All right. Pain points. Okay. All right. All right. Just reading through the goals. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. See, here's my thing. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to look at this. I'm trying to not be impartial here because, uh, you know, like I really don't think these are needed in a case study. I don't think that talking about product personas in this detail is needed, right? You roughly know, anybody who's reading this roughly knows, because you've already presented them. What's the challenges that influencers are facing? You know, what can the platform do to help them, right? You've already done that before you got to it. So you did the ideating before you got to the defining the persona. And again, like the only time that a persona should be presented in a portfolio case study this in depth is when you used proto persona jujitsu to be able to say, yo, like, hey, stakeholder, shut up. This is why we're doing this for Tasia, right? Like Tasia has these problems, and we all agree to those problems, right? Right? And so, like, just throwing this up here doesn't help me feel that that was done in the part of the case study or in the part of the project, right? All right, talk about the user journeys. All right, Tasia discovers a new influencer marketing campaign, intrigued by the platform. Okay, cool. I like that you started from that point of it. I think that this is also like the visualization's pretty good. I would say that each of these are probably too long, right? You know, just say discovers new influencer platform, intrigued by the offerings. I don't know. Like, I don't think that's necessary. Like, try to be very, very tight on like any visualization, but also to specifically any visualization around the strategy that you're doing in your designs, in your design case studies. Like those need to be tight because what I want to get is the strategy that's behind it. I don't want to read this block of text, right? I want to feel what you did and what like kind of decisions you came to, and then I want to compare those to the end results, which is down here, right? So for me, you know, lower the amount of text. It's cool that you showed like kind of like workshop type stuff here, but you know, and yeah, okay, seeing how might we's, that's nice, but like yeah, I don't think that this is the best way to visualize those. I think the best way to visualize some of these how might we's is like you know, three boom boom boom, and then like those have arrows going down to, you know, identifying you know, ideas, boom boom boom, right? Like connect one section to the next, right? Like that's what you're trying to get at around all of this case study, is that you were strategic, you were formulated, you started here, then you did this, then you did this, then you did this. But I'm doing more looking at this because I'm, you know, live on camera right now than I would if I was just reviewing this portfolio like amongst 50 others today. And even then, even when I'm reading it, I'm getting concerned because I'm looking down here, or I'm looking at this. You've already identified the influencer, the challenges that they have, blah blah blah. Then you went and identified it again without talking about how you got buy-in, and all that stuff right here. And so basically, this whole define phase is kind of unnecessary. This part of it, the user journey also like connects back to this, which you could just cut this out and then say connect the pain points, connect the challenges, connect the opportunities that you have to all of this stuff and all of the ideation and workshop stuff that came from it, right? Like you basically can blend all three of these sections into one with like 3 or 4 really solid visualizations and like a like 10% of the text that you put on here. And it would also make it where it comes out alive to me, where it's like I completely understand the strategy that they went through and why they did it, right? All that's super valuable, and it's what you're trying to do on this case study, right? So, anyways, okay, I'll continue on. You do user flow, welcome screens, cool. It's nice to see all these, you know. Yeah, that's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Sorry. Fourth, let's design UI and prototyping. Let's jam. Okay, cool. Style guides, cool. Nice to see that really quick. Introduction about the app. All right, we're running, we're seeing the onboarding. Yeah, it's designed to help the user introduce and find the values of the app. Okay, that's nice. You know, for me, I like these kinds of onboarding experiences, but you know, I think the beauty of these is where you can piecemeal little components or parts of the UI in the app, right? Like find the brands that align with your interests. That doesn't equal plant for me. That equals how am I going to align with the interests and values of brands? Like, how is it going to know what type of stuff I have, right? Show me some filtering tools. Show me some, like, I don't know, yeah, like filtering, searching stuff, or even like a, ding, so and so is hitting you up, right? Like, highlight your unique style. Like, show the UI of whatever that is. I'm guessing it's gonna be like a story or an intro video or something like that. Show some UI of like being able to create your own story to get in the front of other brands, right? For this influencer app, we're talking about collaborating with brands now, and so how if we're doing that, don't show me like this illustration. Show me, so and so brand just signed the contract or something, right? Like something like that makes it like hell yeah, I'm gonna get some movement on my influencering here, right? I think that always plays better than illustrations here. Illustrations are nice, right? It shows some branding, but in general, this branding is not even connected inside of here. Those illustration styles are different. There's no illustrations on the inside of this, outside of the onboarding. So you don't need those illustrations to create the brand. And in fact, it's not even creating a brand through doing those. So, hey, Dinesh over on Instagram, I can definitely check your portfolio out. Go to my bio link. In there is a button around getting a portfolio review. It'll take you to a form, and you'll go in the queue. I do one of these a day. So this one today we're going through Ritos, and so far it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But I'll say like the designs, let's try to be more in touch with like taking everything holistically, right? So it's nice to throw up some nice illustrations on the onboarding, but do that if those illustrations are going to bring a brand vibe and going to continue through the rest of the UI of the app. If it's not, like which it doesn't even need to, show me, like, because what the reason is for this screen, the reason you need these illustrations is because somebody might have downloaded the app off of an ad, and then they don't open the app until later, right? And they're like, oh yeah, what was this app again? They open it up and they're like, okay, find brands that, okay, I'm tired of reading, right? No. and so because of that, there's no visualization that helps me understand what this app is again, right? And so that's the reason for this, right? Is to convert a download into a user, right? Then you got to convert a user into an active user, and then you got to convert an active user into an influencer that's connecting with brands and creating content for brands, right? Like there are phases to this, and you can look at this holistically by grabbing UI from the inside of the app, pulling it out here and saying, this is exactly the kind of experience that you've been dreaming of, right? And put those and put them in the abstract, right? It doesn't have to be a mock-up or a screenshot. It can be just like this section of like culinary travel, like just those blocks. It could live right here, right? And it would be enough to be able to say, like, to pull the story out pre sign up for me to be able to understand what I'm going to get out of it when I come in. Now, okay, getting into it, personalizing your interests. That's nice to see, and see like that's exactly how you can align those interests. So pull this UI, show it right here, and it's perfect, right? Okay, now the actual UI itself. This grid is okay. This grid's okay. For me, there's so many influencers, right? Like that's kind of the beauty of of why there is even an influencer market is like I'm like a designer, but I love talking about Figma, and that's like a niche within a niche within a niche, right? I'm also a person who does some development. That's a niche, but like the type of development I do is a niche, right? Like, and so like all of that stuff, like it's not going to get covered in these ones. Maybe there's like a few that touch on, for a lot of the users of the app, and so make those like featured, and then for the others make it a list or something, right? That would also show me some chops around design and design thinking that you've already talked about, that you said that you do, and so you just like be a little bit more intentional about that instead of throwing up some filters with an other, right? So that's literally only 5 options for the whole deal of all of the influencers in the world are 5 options with another. No, that's not how it's going to work. And so it just makes it where whatever this other is gets into a less nice experience than whatever like seeing this grid up front, right? Cool. Okay. Listed on the form. That's all right. Yeah, it's a good sign up form. But I think too, like, how can we personalize our interests more than just putting myself into a category, right? Like there's so much around that, right? Like like I'm a design content creator, but what kind of content do I make, right? Do I make tutorials? Do I talk about design industry? All of that, right? Like all of those things affect, my type of content and all of that. And so it just, it kind of is screaming to me like shallow, right? In terms of there wasn't enough thought put into this phase, which you're trying to say that you did put a lot of thought into it. And I was already feeling shallow up here. With the stuff that you were putting on the define phases, and now it's coming to fruition that it's not happening on these designs, right? And so again, like that's okay, right? Like if you don't have those like instincts to go for that all the way, that's all right. You're not going to not get a job because of that. But if you're trying to say that you're a design thinker, if you're trying to say that you're a strategic designer, you need to really show that strategy in a clear and concise way, and then translate it into action down here on the actual like designs that you put out, which I'm not feeling on either steps of those so far. All right. This section allows users to find the projects easily by search save. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. But see, I've been on a few of these platforms, and I know for a fact that this doesn't help. That putting these in these boxes don't help. Well, often what they have is some bounties. Yo, Khalid, send me some confetti over on TikTok. Appreciate you for the huge gift. Much love, much love. Oh shit, I missed Shane. Hit me with a heart. If you're still here, Shane, sorry for missing that. Thanks so much for the big heart over there as well. Shoot. Okay, here we go. Okay. All right, continuing on. All right, the cards for every brand collaboration project. See, okay, now booking price, estimated performance income. What is estimated performance income? What does that mean? Project duration. There shouldn't really be a duration of project for an influencer beyond like this is the date we want, right? I don't know. It feels like you didn't really speak to any influencers or do any market research, right? When I'm looking at this, because like Eat Symbol, like if I'm an influencer, I should be excited about the brands that I'm talking about, right? And so therefore, like these logos should be bigger. Where it's like, yo, we on this platform, we've got Eat Symbol on here, right? Like they are on here. Isn't that an awesome thing? Don't you want to go reach out to them and download this app and install it and sign up for an account, right? All that stuff. Yeah. Seeing an IG post often on these platforms, like they're very well designed, and they also have previous collaborations that they've done inside of the platform. Let's have some of those shown here, right? Instead, it's just this like box with a bunch of text, and the only visualization that we've got, which is the brand's logo, is super small, and kind of like a secondary option, right? Promoting new symbol launch, like that's okay, but that's also secondary to the brand, right? So we're talking about information architecture, we're talking about hierarchy here, and right now the hierarchy is off. The hierarchy for me as an influencer browsing this thing is who's the brand, what's the delivery date, what's the rough outline of a price, and those are like the smaller things, right, on this card. And they should be flipped. They should be the biggest things, and the details of like when it's due, or whether it's IG or TikTok, or estimated performance income, whatever that is, or their initiative. I don't care about their initiative as much. Until I'm in the weeds and saying what kind of content am I gonna say, right? So yeah, okay, all right. Now next step, detailed performance information of the project brand. Okay. Yeah, again, I don't know, man. I think that the thought behind this screen doesn't translate from all of this stuff that you've done up here, right? How might we make it easier for influencer to manage collaborations? How might we make it more transparent for the influencer conversation? Like that's okay, but the truth is, on these platforms that list prices like this, it's like $20. Like it's junk change for influencers, and so that like that's why like that's the trouble with a lot of these platforms, and you would know that if you went and spent some time like doing some research on those platforms. And so yeah, like it like it's cool if we want to be user first, user centric designers. It's nice to do that, right? And it's nice to say that, but there has to be some form of turning that user thought and desires of the users into tangible business activity, which it doesn't feel like happened on this Influence ID one. Now that was your third case study. Maybe this one is a little bit better because it's up top. I'll just do a quick little run through. Yeah, it looks like you kind of stick with the same model as the other one. Let's see how the UI turned out. The onboarding feels a bit better on this one. Feels more engaging on the onboarding. This one's like an LMS, so it's like around like learnings, right? User friendly, actually user set tasks and track their progress towards achieving them. Okay, cool. Good to know. Okay, so yeah, we're setting tasks right away, setting goals right away. That's good. Getting into mandatory math. Okay, conquer your goal. Yeah, all this is okay. All this is pretty good. How does this work into modules? All right, I see. Yeah, so I mean, like maybe you've gotten a bit better as a designer. But yeah, I mean, I didn't look at all the strategy up here to see how they're translated. I guess I'm just a little nervous on all this stuff around like your steps of strategy, specifically around this stuff, around this like ideation process and your design thinking process. Like design thinking, the reason for design thinking, the value of design thinking is all around pushing for like users as it relates to the business. That's really what ideating is, right? Now, right here we've got discover the problems that users are having, defining those problems, right? Like we've got to empathize, we've got to define the problems that they have. And ideating is not just to say, what are some solutions that could work? They're to say, like, based on what's out there in the market, what are things that we could solve, like that also translates into money, right? Like that's what we're doing as designers, is working for companies to bring money into the company, right? And so like I think that's where your process is breaking down, is doing a little bit more market research step that will bring out some more thoughts and some more connection to the business, which will ultimately make all this strategy stuff easier to digest, because it comes from a place of this product is better because of this. Like the way that the world is lacking until this product gets made. Like that's what startups have to live off of to be able to be functional and useful as products. But all right, hope you all got some good juice out of that. I had some fun with that one. I think that the homepage I was really hopeful around that homepage. I was really hopeful that was going to be a killer portfolio, and I think that it was for the most part. I think it's mostly the case studies at the end. You're trying to paint yourself as a strategist, and you've got to bring that strategy loop for me a bit more, right? And so the connection from the loop was broken for me on all this, and it's mostly because the content. There's too much content, right? Like always remember, when you're applying to jobs as a designer, you are getting compared like in a blink of an eye, right? It's scroll. Maybe you're not worth looking at any case study, right? You look at a case study, scroll. This is okay strategy. Let me dive deep into like how it connects to the end UI. Scroll. Okay, maybe they're good enough to go look at another case study. Like all of that process again of scrolling again, and so like each of those are cuts where a lot of people don't make the cut on each of those cuts, right? You made it on the homepage. The homepage was good, Rito. I think the case studies were okay. The end designs were all right, but the strategy connected to designs I wasn't feeling. So that's where I'm missing. But yo, what's up, Sanya? What's up, Dinesh? How we doing? Let's chat for another 5 minutes before I roll out. Anybody got any questions? Was chilling for a while doing that portfolio review. Felt pretty good. I gotta start like kind of making a ranking. I don't want to kind of like hurt people's feelings here on their designs or their process or portfolio. But for me, I think there's a lot of people who are applying who are not ready, and they're also not getting much feedback on why they're not ready, and so they're thinking like, I just got to keep pumping out applications, but you don't know what you need to work on. And so that for me is really what, like why I'm doing this segment is I want to like help people see, because probably a lot of you are doing some forms of these things as well. And that's okay. You might still get a job out of it. It's just for me, like when you're getting compared across so many people all at once, the real value that we get is you've got to like just continually check boxes. You've got to continually you could have some, oh, that's awkward moments, as long as there's some payoffs at the end, right? So that strategy lacking would have been a little bit more okay if the end UI was also really good and felt intentional, or was still really good and felt intentional. Um, Marcel over on Instagram, would Rito get a junior UX job easily? I hate to say it, but I don't think so. I think the UI needs some work, and I think the strategy of that UI, like of getting to that UI, also needs some work. Everybody can say that they're a strategist. Everybody can say that they're smart and they're a creative problem solver, and we all are, right? We all are. However, the real thing is the reason I'm hiring you and paying you to do work is I'm going to say these are our problems. This is rough outline of the strategy that I think might help. Go take it, and let's bring it back to me when you're done, right? And so definitely junior level portfolio or junior level designers have a bit more hand holding than that, and that's okay. But I also want you to be able to run a little bit on your own. And for me, I feel like there's no visualization mood boarding process that he's using here, and also too there's not much of a actual tangible real life use case strategy design thinking process that's happening here either. And I think those are two like really big strikes. And to be fair, a lot of people have those strikes. Because you just need more work, need more work in the real world to get there. So so that's the big one that I'll say around Rito. And like the truth is like all of the work that you do, you're going to constantly get better at your stuff. And so I think for me, like start trying to build that process as early as you can around mood boarding. Mood boarding is so important. It's so important. We don't talk about it enough as design educators. And it sounds like this thing that's just like to go get inspiration and start feeling the juices flowing. No, like that's not what we're doing when we're mood boarding. And in fact, maybe I should do a whole segment on mood boarding, because it's such a core part. It's where my design begins and ends. It's where the ideating begins and ends, right? And so I think that's where it's breaking down for Rito, and I think that where some work can get cut up. So I think Dinesh over on Instagram and also Sam said like when would the portfolio reviews come in? So I do one of these a day, or one of these portfolio reviews per live session. I'm going to be out tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. I'm not coming back till Monday. So Monday will be my next portfolio review. So stay tuned on that. And if you miss a portfolio review, you can always come back, check it out on my YouTube channel, kind of thing. So what was the website portfolio called that I just visited? That one was RitoHendroin.com. Nolan, you're an inspiration. Greetings from Lithuania. Hey, thanks so much. Thanks so much. I just love doing this. For me, like my passion is to help newcomers get into anything, right? Like this world is a hard place to be on your own, and this world it feels very lonely when you're applying like crazy and you're not getting any feedback, right? And so that's ultimately like my big inspiration is to just like help bring people in, because it's hard. I tell you, it is hard, and it's always been hard. It took me 4 years to break into my first job, and I started as an intern when in that job, and I already started a startup got that to 30,000 users, almost got an investment in it. Like I was already like I wasn't successful, but I was doing things and my design was shipping, right. So even with that, I was still struggling to get some work in, and so or like some real work. And so that's the thing, is like that's why I'm trying to be as harsh as I can with this stuff. Is like trying to bring you up to that level, because all of you have it within you. You just got to keep pushing, and you'll get there. You'll get there. So, all right. Yeah. Some question came in. I thought I saw. Did I see a question? Hey Nolan, which channel in the Discord is best to put our 70 Rad Designs? Yeah, sorry, I haven't really been hanging out much in the Discord lately. I've been so fucking busy, but yeah, in Discord there's there's two channels. Basically, there's a daily UI channel and there's also a projects channel, and so in there, in those two would be the best spots to share. One day I'm gonna go in and jump in and check a bunch of stuff. You DM'd me and I didn't check. Yo, sorry about that. Sorry about that. I get DMs and I do rounds of checks regularly. So sit tight. I'll definitely jump into my DMs after this and check it out. Okay. Somebody asked me if I code. Yes, I do. I do. I started out in HTML, CSS, building websites for clients. Got into JavaScript through like playing with jQuery on websites, and then I learned JavaScript in a more in-depth way. Got into React. And then that was when I decided, okay, no, I am actually going to be a designer hardcore. And so I haven't really developed much professionally in like about 5 or 6 years. But yeah, it's definitely something that is really fun to learn, and it's fun to do too. When I was early in my career, I didn't have much of a design process, and I jumped to development because I was so frustrated with the subjectivity in design. But the truth is subjectivity in design comes from an absence or a gap that you leave as a designer. And so you build that process out and you'll start filling those gaps, and it won't let the clients or the stakeholders come in and jam you up on those. And so in my time as a developer, I learned that process, and it was where I started loving design again. So, all right. BTW, it's AKG. Sorry. Hey Nolan, is the UI course good to take if I'm an intermediate designer? I don't know. I've heard mixed reviews on it. In my opinion, I think that there's really good juice for all levels of designers. But yeah, I mean, there definitely is a bit of basics in the UI course, but really where my UI course shines, in my opinion, is being able to strategically take strategy and then turn that into UI. It's not just finding really good inspiration and then getting inspired and going and running on design like that. That's not the way or the process to making good functional UI that looks beautiful. There is a strategy and it's steps that you can take, and in that it starts with mood boarding, and then also there's tactics as well. And so if you feel like you don't have much of a design process, I think my UI course would definitely help you find one. And I think that's really the beauty of that course, is to be able to say, these are all things you need to learn, and this is how you start building a process in UI design and taking strategy and turning it into UI. So I'll leave it to you to decide if you want to buy it. It is 25% off for the next few days though, so go buy it if you want to jump in. Now, AKG asked what would be a good roadmap for a UX designer. So, all right. So here's the thing. I think that taking a skill, this is how you learn any skill. You've got to start from learning a tool, right? Like a tool makes it so that you can start to practice, right? So, if you're learning guitar, you need to learn how to put your fingers on the strings. You know how to strum pretty well, right? Like that's kind of like the bare minimum that you need to learn how to do guitar. Now from there, you're not going to go learn, sheet music. You're not going to go learn music theory or how the greats wrote their songs, right? No. What you're going to do is you're going to go learn your favorite songs. You're going to learn how to riff those, and then you're going to show all your friends, look, I know how to play Smoke on the Water, boom, 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 and like that's step 2, right? Is playing those favorite songs. Now, let's pause a minute and talk about how that relates to UX design or UI design. So you need to learn the tool, right? In my opinion, the best tool to learn is Figma. That's for web design, UX design, UI design, product design. That's what a lot of teams are using, and it's also the best way to collaborate with clients and stakeholders is through Figma. So let's say that you go learn Figma. I've got a Figma course, and that's why my first course was a Figma course. That's like the very beginning stage is that, right? From there, you need to practice, right? But you don't want to just practice from scratch, right? Because you don't have a design process, you don't have a design eye yet, and so all of the stuff that you're doing is never going to look as good as you saw it in your head, and you're going to continually be frustrated about it. And even when you think that it looks as good as in your head, when you share it with your friends and family, they're going to kind of shit on it, and you're going to be feeling very attacked personally. And all of that comes because you don't have a process and you don't have confidence in your steps that you're taking on your design. And the only way to build that is through just doing a lot of design work, right? So how can you do good design work and start building that process and good reps on it without all that? Well, it's through copying other people, right? So in the same way that you're copying guitar riffs of your favorite song, you're going to copy the best UI shots out there, right? Which in my opinion is on Dribble. So go find a Dribble shot, redesign it right next to it in Figma. Don't trace it, do it right next to it, and do that every day, right? And only then will you start getting good reps. You'll start understanding eventually, like, wait, this person used this shadow the same way that this other shot did their shadow. And you're going to be like, wow, okay, I know how to build that shadow, and now it's in my tool bag, and I can reuse that for later. And so that's step two. Now, that's also why step two for me was building 70 Rad days, right? And you do that for 70 days. And so that's resource number two. But while you're doing that, you're going to realize all of the disciplines that you need to understand, right? Like there's UI, but inside of UI, there's typography, there's color, there's spacing, all of that. There's information architecture. So all that stuff is like the lay of the land. You're going to slowly get that, and you're going to realize just how shallow understanding you have of each of those disciplines, right? And there's so much more that I didn't even mention there. And so from there, what you need to do is you need to start like going and learning the theory of those things, right? And that's why my next course was a UI course. And so like right now, in my opinion, I think that that's the best way to do it. Take my Figma course to learn the basics. Take my 70 Rad Design Challenge and to like hone your skills and learn what you don't know, right? And then only then can you say, okay, I'm going to go learn all this stuff in depth, right? And so there you start taking courses like my UI course and UX strategy and all that stuff. But here's my problem with UX design and UX research is you cannot self-assess, right? Now, if you play Smoke on the Water when you're playing guitar, if you fucked up, if you didn't do the chord right, or if your finger was kind of off and it made that weird sound, you're going to be like, oh, shoot, let me redo that, right? You can't do that with UX design, right? The way that you know if a UX design is good or a user experience design is good, it's you design it, you build it, real users use it, and then you're able to see the data and watch those users use it, and it's not working, right? It's not from the Figma prototype. It's after they have the context of why they're here, right? It's the right person. They installed the app. They created an account. All of that. Like those are the steps that you have to take as a user to be able to feel ready to use this app even, right? And so that's why UX research around, hey, can you use this prototype and see what you like and don't like about it? That's not good UX research, right? It doesn't help. You've got to go use real customers of a real product, and they've got to actually first download that product and use it for a reason that they think is going to suit their business goals or their own personal life goals. And so all that reason is why UX design is so hard to self-assess. You can't really do it at all because there is no self-assessing. There's build it and then see how it works. But to build it, you have to design it. You have to be strategic about it. You've got to get a bunch of other people to agree that they want to go build that and build it in the way that you designed it. And so like there's so much that goes into UX research and UX design. And also too, UX design houses UI, right? Like this is UI, this is UX design, right? Like it's not separate. There's not two things, right? And so in my opinion, you can really stand out by being good at UI, right? We just did a UI or a portfolio review, and in my opinion, they probably wouldn't have made the cut for me on the UI quality. And not many people do, right? I reviewed over 600 portfolios, and only 30 made it to my short list. I only gave 10 interviews of those short lists, and then I only hired 2 people, right? So like these are funnels that happen, and it's easy to tell who's done that work, who's done all of those steps to go go self-assess and practice and go crazy and dive deep into all of these disciplines and really work their ass off to get to that point where they're actually able to use their skills in an effective way for my business, right? That's when you get a job. That's when you get a job. And so for me, so you learn Figma, you do my 70 Rad course, you take design courses like my UI course, and then from there, you've got to go do real projects with real people. But also too, if you can't get real projects, do more fake projects until you feel like they're good. But here's the thing though, is so many people start a project and they don't finish it, right? You get to the middle point and you're like, oh, I'm so tired of this. Like, I just want to be done, right? That's where you get the most juice. That's where you learn the most, right? And so you got to start projects, you got to finish them. That's the thing. You got to start projects, you got to finish them. So here we are. We're about probably 90 to 150 days in. You've taken all those courses. You've learned a lot. You've practiced a lot. You've started. You maybe got a first client project or two, and then I think you should start looking up local businesses to try to find internships with them, specifically agencies, because agencies will help you, do a lot of projects and start learning UX design in the real world. Because you're like web design or app design, whatever you are, you're building stuff, it's getting shipped, and you're seeing it come to life, and then you're seeing how the data comes out, right? And so that's my roadmap for UX design and getting into it is don't focus on UX design, focus on UI design, hone your skills, learn the process of UX, right? Learn like the fundamentals and the steps you're going to have to take to be strategic about your designs. But understand that you will never be able to use that strategy until you've done it a lot. And you can't do it on fake projects. So there we go. Okay. Yeah, I gotta hit it, y'all. I'd love to come and hang. Yeah, the really quick self-assessment. Yeah, I gotta answer the self-assessment. Good checklist on self-assessment for UI work. I do go into this on my course, but essentially it's determining what you wanted to get out of it in the first place. You got to first start by saying, I wanted to do this, and then compare the end result to that. And you got to be super unbiased. You got to step away for a few days and come back and review it and say, damn, yeah, this didn't look anything like I wanted it to, right? And that's kind of the foundation of building that up. Now, Sam, my course or my challenge is 70rad at 70rad.com. For portfolios, if we ditch a bunch of UI projects for one company, how would you display that on a portfolio? There's a few ways to do that. So it depends. If you're trying to get on a product team, you should choose one. You should choose the best one, and maybe the one that you iterated on a few times. Show the problem that started it, show the first iteration, show the challenges that happened after you launched that, and then show the second or third iterations. Now, if you're trying to hire or go for agency jobs, try to like sum up each project in a few slides with a few different shots. Don't go so deep into strategy. Talk a little bit about strategy, right? But for agency jobs and client work, they don't really care they don't care as much about the strategy and how it connects to the end result as much as product teams do. So yeah, how you made interface, as I can see on live, looking different from others. Thanks. Thanks a bunch. Yeah. Yeah, the way I made this is actually an overlay image. Let me just pull it out really quick. I'll just show you. I always like doing this. Whoa! You just saw the behind the scenes. So yeah, cool. All right, everyone. I'm out for the week. So I'm out tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. I'm gonna be up in New York City. So hope you all have an awesome week. Keep crushing it. Keep learning. Keep practicing. So.